Alright, so we're going to do a tutorial on making a start menu, a selection menu for a start screen. This is an updated tutorial by Jonny. Jonny made Delta 9 for BiteOff 4. It was an excellent demo. It had a lot of cool features in it. That was one of my favorite games for the BiteOff this year. So this tutorial, Jonny made an updated version of Dale's tutorial. He said basically you follow Dale's tutorial, and then when you get to like the doSpritePreDraw, you just do this part, essentially. So we're going to try to do this using Dale's method, see how this turns out. Alright, for the example we're doing, Dale uses a normal and a hard selection menu. So you either start with 3 lives in the normal mode, or you start with 1 life in the hard mode. Once you're done, you will understand how this works and you can add your own thing. Maybe start with different health or start on a different screen. You could start with a different variable and have it check later in the game for a variable or something. You can use it to create an options menu or something, have it warp you to an options screen and have similar variables to this. And then on that options screen, you could do things in that too. Anyway, but this is a good idea. If you don't like this, there's also another tutorial on how to make a table, basically, and you can use that table to look up, kind of you'll write out the table, and the results of that table will be what happens at certain spots in the screen and where your cursor goes, etc. I've used this method for a lot of my games, and for me it works just fine. There's ways to modify it, and I can show different ways to modify it either in other videos or if this video doesn't run too long, but I'm pretty sure this video might take a while, or this might be in multiple parts. So I might have to leave that for another future video or something on how to edit this and make like an option menu or something. I used the same method in Synther for BiteOff 4, and you'll notice in the second screen there's a options menu, and that options menu has a bunch of different options. I haven't figured out how to like cycle through options using like left or right to make different written options show up. Pretty sure that has to do with a lot of writing sprites on the screen or something like that. So it could be in the table method as well. What I'm talking about is basically the method that EV Cruising has a pretty cool menu for showing the different songs when you're going through checking the songs and stuff. That game had a really cool options menu in the BiteOff 4, and I just wanted to mention that. Okay, so prepare your start screen with some choices to select. He did normal and he did hard. Each one he's got, as you might notice, there's 8 tiles separating the two, so we'll do that as well. In my project, I go to the underworld. This is my logo screen that I'm using for now. So my logo screen is basically looks like that for now. So I'll just delete all this really quick. Right. Okay, we're gonna put down hard and normal. Something like that. Project settings, user variables. You add a new variable. curSelection with a value of 0. It says the first item is 0. Then when it gets to the second, it'll be like 1. If it had a third, it would go to 2. Then like a fourth option would be 3. But the way this is set up is it resets the number after it gets to the 1. Just goes back to the 0. So it would just go down to 1. If you had 2 options, it would like literally just like jump back up to the top. After it would be like here, here, here. And then after it got down to the third option, which would be 2, instead of going back up 1, it just automatically would start back up the top. Because it goes back to 0. Anyway, so in your project settings and your user constant, he wants you to add a new user constant for each one of these. So start screen cursor tile, this one, you're going to want to make it 127. I wrote that's the last spot on the tile sheet. Because if you look at this, alright, here's your tile sheet. This is my tile sheet for my game. 1 or 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. What do you know? So 16 would be right there, but guess what? That starts the next one because you go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A, B, C, D, E, F, Oh, oops, that's 8, 9, A, B, C, D, E, F. Sorry. And then it would be 2, 0, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, etc. But it's 15. That's a 16th tile, but it's 15. So it'd be 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 31. Right, 31 plus what, 16 there. So it's 47. And then you would add like another 16, 63. Right, something like that. And then like 89. 115. Um, anyway, so it's be 127. Something like that. It would add up to be 127 basically from the tiles. And that's this tile. So that's the tile it's going to choose. Sorry I'm taking so long to explain this. I'm trying to make sure you know what it's doing. So this is what it draws from your game object tiles. This is the selection position. And that's the x-axis. So it's horizontal 98 for the horizontal position of the first item in pixels. Alright, so you put 98. Just paste that in there. We're going to do the same thing for select position Y. But that's going to be 150. That's the vertical. Now this is the distance between the items in pixels horizontally. So when it jumps, it's not jumping to the left or right, it's jumping up or down. So it's a 0. Selection step Y, that's going to be 16. That's the distance between the two. The last one is the max value. This is how high the number is going to go before it resets back to 0. We put this at 1 for now because we only have options. We're going to see the number of options starting with 0 as first option. Example 2 options as value of 1. Example 3 options as value of 2. Example, just to show you have 4 options. That would have a value of 3. These are just notes I'm writing in here. They don't really affect anything. It just says though that it's your curSelection value variable. So I'm going to actually put that in there too. Alright, so that's that. Now you would modify the predraw script assigned to handle sprite predraw. But because this is a 4.1.5 script, 4.1.9 or whatever script, it's not a 4.5 script, it's a 4.1 script, you would use this sprite predraw. This would be your sprite predraw. See how it's really similar? I don't know if you can tell from the video, but it's pretty similar. This is Johnny's fix on it. He updates it. What it's doing is it's checking the game state. And then that's like your start screen, basically. This would be your game state for your start screen. If you're on the start screen, you do the selector. If not, you don't check for the selector. If you're doing the selector, loads into the accumulator, the selection position for Y, stores temp 1. So that position Y is stored into temp 1. Then it loads selection for position X, stores it into temp 2. Loads a 0 into the other variable you'd basically be using, I think, as well. And then it does like a loop. Checks your cursor selection, draws the sprite. The sprite that's drawn would be position for Y. And then it checks the selection for step for Y. Stores that into temp 1 now that you've used temp 1 already. Storing that into temp 1. It's loading temp 2 up from your position X, putting that down. So it's giving it both those. Then your selection step X. Now it's storing those in there. and it's putting it down in that spot, and it's just re-looping it. So it just keeps drawing the sprite where that tells it to draw the sprite when it's doing that. And then this would be your tile. The tile would be, I believe, don't know why it's saying that though, because start screen cursor tile should be, what do we name it? Oh, start screen cursor tile. I just wanted to make sure it was the same name or if Jonny changed the name on it. So everything should be the same. Start screen's cursor tile. The way Jonny writes it. You know what I mean? Then it goes to this. So it's drawing the sprite using temp 2, using temp 1, X and the Y's, etc. And then it's yeah, X, Y. Then it tells it what tile to draw. And then the state it's drawn in. I believe that is. I think that's the attributes it has. Anyway, then it ends like checking selection thingy. So if it doesn't, if you're not on the game state for start or the main menu, then it's not gonna do that. So anyway, what you have here is basically the same thing. This is Dale's version from 4.1. That's something that's not there in the new one. But anyway, so this would be like to check in the selector. You'd have the game state checker up here. Oh, this is the game state checker. This is checking all the game state stuff. This is how it used to check for it. And it says, okay, it's on the start screen. Now it's doing all its stuff. Selection position, temp 1, selection position for X, temp 2. Starts the loop. Does all the same stuff. At the end, it jumps back to start selection loop all over again. Essentially, pretty much the same script except like things like this. So anyway, there's a script for the sprite selector on the start screen. We'll do that. That goes in our pre-draw. I believe right now we don't have anything in our pre-draw, so we could just literally just put this script in there from a blank one. So let's go and check that. Script settings. Let's check the sprite pre-draw. Okay, we got the subroutines doSprite pre-draw. All it's got on there basically is to include the screen draw sprite HUD. Now, if you're not using a sprite HUD, I'm pretty sure you don't need this. So try commenting it out and see if your game works. My HUD is still there because I don't use a sprite HUD. Sprite HUDs are in scrolling games, so if you're using a scrolling game, you probably need that or something. This, you don't need it. Anyway, so I'm gonna keep that, you know, I mean, comment it out. Look at that. It's a blank file basically. So you don't need, what I'm saying is you don't need to use the one that's included. Now this was the default that's in the subroutine, so you really don't want to change this. Just leave this alone. You can assign your own blank script to it and it will not affect your game. I think that just showed it. I'll do that right now. Script settings, Sprite pre-draw. Here's a blank subroutine. Check your post draw out too. Your post draw is blank. Even assign a blank subroutine to that too. This. Here's my post draw. Blank. Blank. They're both blank now. Okay, now watch this. It's not going to do anything to my game. Because I don't use a sprite HUD, it's not including a sprite HUD in anything. And I don't have a post draw right now in my game, so it's not doing anything to that. So we can use their script that Jonny basically rewrote as is. Just want to make sure we check the gameState 02, which is the third gameState down, because you got 0, 1, and then 2. That would be the third one down. That's the one we're going to use. In mine, it's going to be 01 because I made the main game 0. Start screen is 01. Cutscene screens are 02. So 01 is the start screen. 02 is my cutscene. I want to make sure this is on the start screen, not the cutscene. So it's 01. This is a cutscene screen, so this is going to be 02. But anyway, it's going to be in the code. I'm going to have to change the code a little bit for mine. So hold on one moment. Alright, as I said, you can use blank tile or anything. Doesn't matter what kind of script you're using. So you could take, like, say, this monster barrier we got. We're going to put this in. I like to put in my game folder because game folder's got all the in there in the script settings. So you don't really want to make it any different if you don't have to. Alright, I just gotta recopy it again. Sorry I'm taking so long. After this step, we will leave off and then we'll just continue on with the next part, since this is running a little long in the tooth. Alright, so in our file, we're going to make this 1. If yours is a different one, you can just change that. But like I said, it's based on this. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you see it's saying what it is. 6, 7. So 0, 1, 2. We're using 0, 1 for a start screen. When we go back to this screen that we're making, and make this 0, 1, which is start screen. If you're on the start screen, it should do all this. Alright, so let's put that in the pre-draw. There's your sprite pre-draw in game. Right now it's blank. And go to your game folder. You have your sprite pre-draw we just made and saved, the one that Jonny made. So with that loaded in, I want to make sure we have our place your player. You want to hide your player, hide your HUD, turn off the palette cycling. Alright, we're not doing any warps yet, we're just going to check that it works. It shouldn't change anything just yet, because I don't think there's any gamepad check, we're just seeing that it loads. As you see it loaded, and based on the palette, there's our tile that was in spot 127, I believe that was. $127. Right there. That's 127. That's the one that showed up in the game. Show it really quick again. Oops. Close the game, so there we go. You notice it's up higher because in Dale's example it's up higher. I can change where we have these located in the next part. In the next part I'm going to show the rest of this tutorial and how to continue with this. So I believe where we are is just finished 3. So we're going to start with this one, the inputs and stuff like that, the next one. So I'll see you in part 2. Enjoy your morning. Thank you. Please subscribe and like videos for future video updates. Have a great day.